Oh, wow. We have had a lot of fun and nobody has been able to hear us.
Let's start over.
We will do it again. Welcome to All the Things. I am Monique Dusan.
And I'm Krista Bontrager, and this is the show where we discuss all the things
related to God, the Bible, and real life. And so we have to take this all the way from the top. So I am unburdened. If you want to get your unburdened shirt unburdened by what has been the last 4 years, you can get your shirt. I don't have the link, but you can go to my Facebook page, Chantal Monique Dusan, and the link is right there. It's under my picture. And also, I am unburdened, but I am also a little petty. And I have my very own Petty Mo mug. And
this is like a little you.
It really is. And so it has Petty Mo on the back and a picture of Petty Mo on the front. And so I just wanted to see what it would be like to order one. And now I think that I'm going to add this to our Center for Biblical Unity store, and they can be stocking stuffers for your friends.
I haven't approved this.
Like I said, I'm going to add this to the Center for Biblical Unity store. Hopefully it'll be up by the end of the week. And yes,
if it gets approved,
like I said, this should be up by the end of the week.
And we are live. And we should say thank you to our moderators, Elaine, Kathy, and Laura, helping us on the stream, and all our other moderators helping us throughout the season. Can't believe that we have made it to the end of season 6.
It's been a long ride that started out with a hoodwink and bamboozle, because I was surely against this. Now,
look what I tricked her into.
Every week.
I forgot my makeup at the office. So this is it. This is what we're doing tonight.
Okay. It's okay. Tonight's show is what we call an AMA, and Ask Us Anything. Mm-hmm. So if you have a question that you would like to ask us.
Except how we met.
Because we have a video on that.
And I'm sick of answering it. It's on every interview.
Maybe she needs her own petty moment. You can put your questions in the chat and we will answer them.
So how's it going? What have you been up to?
I've been sick this week. I even now, I am only at 60%. I'm really pushing it to be lively.
Oh.
Yes. But I don't know. I was here on Tuesday and we watched the election until 9:30, and then I went home.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning and my throat was just on fire and my body hurt and I had a headache. And so, yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I've basically just been out of it. Yesterday, I woke up and I said, I don't care. I just can't be in bed anymore. I can't be sick. We cannot do this. And so even with the headache, I stripped my bed, I Lysol'd everything down. I had to wash all my linen. And yeah, but I was I'm going to pretend like I'm not sick. Until my body was no, this headache isn't going anywhere.
So everyone, post your questions for us in the chat, and we will try to get to as many as we can tonight, first come, first serve. So get those questions going. We have a few to
Get us started.
And it is, I'm looking.
Oh, sorry, that would be me. Hi.
Why are you?
Yeah. I don't know what
Just use the mute button.
There you
go. Okay.
She's fired.
This is the end. We're trying to be professional. Okay. So you have a few questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with a good one. We always listen to 80s tunes when we're getting ready for the show. We can't play them on the show because then we would have copyright problems. But Bob has a playlist that we play in the background as we're getting ready for the show each week. So that makes me wonder, what is your favorite singer and your favorite song? Doesn't have to be from the 80s.
Well, the questions are for both of us.
I know.
Okay. My oh my gosh. So I have quite a few. And it's hard to rank them. Let's see. Today I listened to, and I've been on like the last couple of days, Whitney Houston.
Oh.
I absolutely, and this is if I'm going secular. So Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Because a room is not a house, and a house is not a home. And then I really like Lauryn Hill for a very long time. So I was listening to those three artists today even. And for a Christian artist, what was so disappointing with the election season is that so many of my favorite gospel artists came out to support Kamala Harris. And they actually put this whole compilation video together supporting her. And it just really made me, in my heart, want to just throw away all the music.
Oh, that's sad.
It really was. The only one that wasn't on the video, maybe one or two, was CeCe Winans.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. But I mean, like,
she's
for
coming to
music,
Southern California in February. You should go.
I might.
Somebody send Monique some tickets for Christmas, so she can go to see CeCe Winans. All right, let's do a question. People who are sad about the election results, in terms of Jesus wouldn't like MAGA. He would be for the oppressed women and the LGBT agenda. I'm not sure what the question is there, Elaine. Is it, how do we respond to them?
Maybe. Or, what do you say? I think
it's hard because people are so polarized. And what I'm noticing is that it seems like the news algorithms, like these people seem genuinely surprised at the election results. Like were you not, like, whoever you're getting your news from, if you're genuinely surprised about the election results, you might want to rethink your news source.
Well, I think that people are genuinely surprised on both sides. I was shocked, genuinely shocked, because I thought that one side was not going to play fairly. I don't want to call people cheaters. I know that's wrong and petty of me. But I didn't have faith that, things wouldn't go askew. I'll say that. I think other people who were voting for Harris actually have bought into the narrative so much that they actually believe that that's what the entire country also
that's
believes.
More of what I'm talking about when I say the genuine surprise, because I was expecting a lot of cheating too, but the surprise of, like, even 3 days after the election, people are still kind of doubling down of, they can't understand how this even happened. They can't see that the country is not on board with the trans thing and transing kids, and people want more border security. They don't see that as being out of step with being compassionate, and that there's a significant number of people that feel this way, and just the money corruption, the bribery, all of this stuff. People are just tired of it, and if people are in that mindset, I don't know how you talk to them, because they've been probably digesting news sources that haven't been giving them good information all along. And so then they really are confused as to how we arrived here. But I guess my thing is, be gracious, and don't be the one who cancels the other person.
Yeah.
Don't be the canceller. Be the conciliatory kind. Even if they cancel you, you don't be the canceller. I guess that's my thought about it.
I would say, gosh, and I was just talking to you about this morning, wanting to do like a Bible study through the book of Luke, because a lot of people like Evangelicals for Harris, I think, builds a lot of their support on the book of Luke. The book of Luke shows more of the humanity, for lack of a better word, or compassion toward like the poor and the marginalized. If you think about the woes that Jesus pronounces, the blessings and the woes, I want to say it's in like Luke 6 or 7. A lot of that hinges on this cry out for, see, Jesus was for justice, and we need to be doing justice for the marginalized. I just think if you're talking to a Christian person and that's kind of the lane they're in, maybe sitting down and actually just offering to do Bible study and helping them to get to a better place of, who was Jesus? Like Luke gives us a picture of Jesus, but he doesn't give us the entirety of who Jesus was, and looking at Jesus in context in the Old Testament and in the Gospels and things like that. I don't know. But that's just some of my thoughts. I would say, be gracious. Somebody else asked the question, how do you celebrate celebrate the win without rubbing salt into the wounds of the other side?
I guess for me, like what I'm doing is I'm not saying anything about my personal views on social media. I'm not doing that. It's not going to be the first point of conversation for me when I talk to people. Now, you're probably taking a different strategy.
So I have been, as I said, I think on our family meeting on Thursday, I think that I got sick. The Lord probably allowed me to get sick because I would have been super petty on social media. And so I'm kind of glad that I wasn't really able to get on my computer. But if I'm really, really just point blank honest, they would have rubbed salt in my wounds. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right.
Point. That's not the point.
Doesn't mean I'm right. So I would say
that's not the way to think about it.
I'm not saying that that's the way to think about it. I'm just, sometimes you just got to be honest. And that's hard for me because you know how I am, and they know how I am. I think Krista's approach is fine. Like, just don't say anything. But at the same time, you don't know the motive of my heart. I guess that's more of my approach. It's like, I'm not trying to throw salt. I just also am glad that Trump won.
This is a long game. A lot of things could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a lot of criticisms of Trump from his first administration. I haven't talked about them publicly, but I got a lot of issues. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably gonna have more issues.
I don't doubt it.
And so I just take a very modest approach.
Oh, I in no way think that Trump is our savior, or Trump is, going to solve all of our issues. I'm just glad that Harris didn't win.
Yeah. It's a conversation between my husband and I in the house and talking about things, but I don't really talk about it publicly. All right,
I have no husband, so I'll just share my thoughts with you.
All right, let's move on. Andre's asking best fiction and nonfiction book that you read this year. Oh, this assumes that I read fiction. That's a problem for me. I haven't read any fiction since the first Bush administration. Oh, Bob, stop.
I don't read fiction.
So,
nonfiction.
Best book you've read this year?
Best book I've read this year. I've read a lot of books.
You have.
I have. I think one of the best books I've probably read was The Queering of the American Child. It's one of my most favorite books this year. The Calling of the American Mind was also very good. Deconstructing DEI. It's a book written by a DEI practitioner. She's one of the top DEI practitioners, and she's looking at how to revamp and revitalize DEI approaches so that they go farther in organizations. Sometimes you need to know your enemy.
I've read so many books because of my dissertation research. I'm looking at my Kindle here for what the best one was. Very short little book, but I think is really valuable that I discovered this year was Glenn Sunshine's little book, Image of God. I think that's just such an important little book. It's an older book. I've been recommending it a lot. I started reading Sheena Mason's The Raceless Anti-Racist this week. That is a very interesting book. It's going to take me a while to go through it. Oh, I know what book was really good this year, and I'm only about halfway through it. But Andrew T. Walker's book, Faithful Reason, it's like 500 pages, so I've only been reading it during my spare time, between my dissertation reading. But that is a very useful book. So those are some of the things. Okay. You ready for another question? All right. Trying to shoot.
We're trying to look at the questions.
I know. Trying to do two things at once here. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. It will really help us, guys, if you put in all caps that there's a question, because there's just so many comments.
All right, I will go for one. I have a really easy one.
All right.
What's your favorite color?
Oh, that's easy.
I told you it was an easy one. Didn't lie.
It's the color on my website. It's that like teal Tiffany blue, I think is what it's called. I really like that color.
Okay.
What about you?
It's Tiffany blue or glitter.
Yes. The pink
glitter is a whole color all by itself, and I love it. I am here for it all day.
Yeah.
Next question.
Let's see. Melissa asks, why wouldn't people be surprised that the election outcome weren't all the polls super close? Yeah, but that's not my point, Melissa. My point is that even 3 or 4 days after the election, the people who are really confused are the people who are very progressive, and they don't seem to even understand why they lost. They're still on the narrative of it was racism or misogyny. They do not seem to understand how the country feels about the issues, especially of trans and kids and border security and the monetary policies in our country, which is connected to inflation. And they don't get it. Like, their news sources have not been informing them about these issues all along. And so they literally, if you watch the clips of them, the pundits, they are so confused right now. They literally don't know why they lost. And they're just doubling down. And the people that are trying to tell them, even the Democrats on their own side, say, here's why we lost, and explain it to them, they still don't get it. And that, to me, tells me that their news sources are bad. Like, they're not, if you're surprised by how the country voted and you don't understand the other side's positions well enough that you're surprised, then your news sources aren't being straight with you. That's my point. I'm trying to inartfully say, maybe it's just not clear, but.
All right.
What's the next one?
I'm going to go to Lorena's question on YouTube. It says, any advice for 40-year-old Christian single women who are still hopeful for a husband, but struggling to meet a Christian man who shares their values and worldview? It's rough out here. These streets, honey, these single streets, rough, like back alleyways, rough. Okay. So yes, I do fall into that category.
You're single?
Yeah.
Some people might not know that.
Yeah, I am single. No kids, no nothing. And yeah, the streets are rough if you're single. Dating life, it's rough. Now, I live in LA, and I am like, I don't know where to look. And so I guess the advice would be to be prayerful and to be patient and to, I don't know, like I'm not one, like some people are like give advice and they're like, oh, you should go on a dating app, or you should go, like, I'm not going to the bar, I'm not going to the club. But you know, don't be afraid to go out by yourself. And I'm not afraid to go out by myself. These people, I'm just like, the one, like, can you have all your teeth when you talk to me? I feel like that's a high requirement these days. Or like, can you talk to me and like not have like three bad words on your shirt with like Tupac underneath? Even though I do like Pac, I'm just like, can we have a conversation about worldviews? Can you love Jesus?
You might have to get the guy saved on the first date. Then
The devil is a lie. That's not my job.
go
That is
from
not.
there.
That's not for me. So I think my advice or thought would just be kind of how I also approach it, is that I try to stay prayerful. I try to stay in the word. I try and also make sure that I have some kind of dialogue with other people and community. We talked about this earlier. I don't necessarily feel like I struggle with loneliness necessarily. I feel like I can find myself bored or like, oh, it would be fun to do this, but I'll get up and go do something by myself. So I don't know. Why don't you give advice? I don't have no advice. Pray and ask the Lord, okay, to unburden us.
Well, she doesn't take any of my advice about dating. But
what advice have you given me about dating?
Anyways, so I think that a piece of advice that our friend Jim Wallace has given you is change churches. To go to a church where there's more single men. You currently go to a church where there's no single men. So how are you going to meet someone unless he just stumbles into the uncle's backyard? And
that's true. I think that in my situation, I'm not home enough on a Sunday to be able to build community at a church. And so I stay at my church because it is community. I wouldn't but I'm only at church like every other Sunday or sometimes one Sunday a month. And so
my other thought
I don't know.
Is,
I don't know if that works.
I'm
going to be single for a long time.
Work on yourself, work out, get therapy, do some things to continue to improve yourself so that you're ready to get married. And I think that,
is the future husband also doing that?
Hopefully.
I hope so.
But I think that can help. It's like maybe explore, if there's anything to improve on yourself or explore, try to get some insight about, or, if you struggle with addiction or you struggle with a tough childhood, like preemptively start going to therapy and doing some things to improve yourself.
Our friends have recommended like dating, like they're like, why don't you get on a dating site? Like nobody meets in person anymore. Everybody meets online.
Ask your friends. I'm always asking Kevin, do you know anyone? I mean, I ask people on Monique's behalf on a pretty regular basis. She gives me the look. But, ask friends.
The majority of people, I just read the statistic, the majority of people meet their husbands through other people.
I know, and that's why I'm always asking.
But okay. And Elisa, Natasha, y'all need to hurry up and be friendly with me. Okay. Now I feel like you don't like me.
Yeah. Question: best way to minister to a family member who is bipolar, super liberal, and agnostic? Oh my. Without knowing too much about that situation, I can only say something generally. Pray for that person. Pray for the Lord to do something in their life. I have struggled with significant mental illness in my life for 3 decades. That's no longer the case. Thankfully, the Lord saw me through that and healed me from that. But it was a struggle, and I was never super liberal or agnostic. But, I would say just be a friend as best you can. Maybe try to find places of common interest or hobbies, some kind of place where you can connect, and pray for that person. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm having trouble finding a good church in the Los Angeles area. How do I find a good church? What should I look for? I did a teaching on this last fall. If you go on my YouTube channel at Theology Mom, I have a playlist called Church Life. And I did a whole episode about what to look for in a church. Might even be 2 episodes. But that will give you some advice, and it is not easy. And I talk about some things that you can do to help, but the church where Bob and I are currently attending, there's some secondary issues that we significantly disagree with them on. But, I'm not a big fan of the rapture. I'm not a young earth creationist. But on all the essential issues, there's good unity there and very, very solid Bible teaching. And it's very rare that those things come up. So sometimes you have to be willing to be in community with people that maybe like you're not all in sync on secondary issues, but learning to differentiate between what some of those things are. So I don't know.
So you referred him to the video.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that the point of us doing this was that we were going to actually answer the question.
I did answer the question.
Be okay with unity on primary issues.
Yeah, you have to find unity on primary issues. Sometimes that means making sacrifices on secondary issues. You can look at their website, make sure that they have a good statement of faith. One thing I usually look for is making sure that they have classes at the church, not just a bunch of 4 and 6 week topical studies, but that they actually have tracks for educational purposes. That usually is a good indication that they are wanting to educate people in the faith. But I have to tell you, I'm becoming increasingly a skeptic of independent churches that have no denominational accountability. These kind of freewheeling independent churches where there's no accountability, I don't know, that they seem to breed a level of unhealthiness. So I don't know, those are some thoughts, but you can check out my teaching with more.
Awesome. Okay, Gillian has a question.
Okay, what is that?
What are your thoughts on loud and big activity Christmas services, considering cheating on my church this year for a quieter time? I personally, I like both. When the church I was saved in or came to faith in, they had huge, elaborate Christmas services, like donkeys and all kind of things, like just walking in the, in the sanctuary as part of the play and everything. I absolutely loved it. But then again, I am a play girl anyway, so I like plays and musicals and, all of that kind of stuff. I feel like, do you? Like, if I don't know that there's a right or a wrong to it. I personally like it, but I also like to, sing hymns and have a candlelight service. So, thoughts?
Oh, this is something I struggle with. I am not now we're in the realm of Krista's preferences. Okay. So we're not in the realm of talking about whether things are sound or unsound.
Yeah. It's just
theologically. Opinion. We're talking about preferences and opinions. Okay. Yeah. So let's categorize that correctly. I am not a fan personally of big, loud church services in general. But especially for the holidays, I like things to be quiet, prayerful, and reflective. And we like to go down to our daughter's church for the lessons and carols and that sort of a thing.
So, I need a hey, yes.
For me, drums and Christmas don't go together.
Oh, girl.
No.
Drums and Christmas. How do you not?
Rup-a-bum-bum. All right.
Ugh.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. What do you do when the small group you attend is dominated by a few people who use it as their therapy? I'm not the leader, so I'm not sure what to do or say. Very little Bible study happening.
I'd change groups.
Yeah.
I would have a conversation with the leader, give it a few more weeks, and then I would probably change groups when it's time to, like the year changeover, or when they have a hiatus over the summer. I would just sort of find a different group.
I think that could be hard if it's like a smaller church and there's only like one.
Yeah, it would be, but
yeah.
I mean, I would find, I don't know, a different situation. I'm going to just be honest. Like, I do not endure well in those situations. I have left a number of groups like that. Hopefully none of those people are watching. But yeah. Let's see. Victoria wants to know, what is your next book going to be about?
Because we are still in the very early developmental stage of it, we're not going to actually release the topic. But we do think that it will be very important to some of the cultural conversations that are happening, and will probably continue to happen over the next few years. So unfortunately, we're on the hush mode.
But Victoria, you're a smart young gal. I have a feeling if you think real hard, you can figure it out based on some things that we've said.
Based on some things we've talked about.
The letters aren't YMCA, but there are some other letters. All right.
You really need the Lord.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break and we'll look at some more questions. We'll be right back after we hear this message from our friends at Impact 360. No, not Impact 360. We're going to talk about walking in unity and how you can bring walking in unity to your church or small group. We'll be right back.
As a white guy, you're saying, okay, I'm always perpetually guilty, but what does happen to be you're always perpetually the victim?
Either I can walk freely in my relationship with Christ, or I'm walking in bondage to another person's thoughts, ideas, and opinions.
From a biblical perspective, it's hard to argue that people who were not slaves deserve payment from people who were not slave owners.
Yeah, it's funny when that question gets presented to churches be multi-ethnic. I've never seen African-American churches wrestle with that.
See, here we go.
Here we go. I think when you have multi-ethnic children and when you have an adoption by a family that's not the same ethnicity, really what you have to do is prep them for adversity, but we have to do that anyway.
We're all here today to talk about is walking in our unity in Christ. Christ supremacy, not white supremacy, right? That's what we're talking about.
I like that. That's a good one right there. I think this is a moment for true Christians to actually shine.
Once again, you can bring walking in unity to your group, your Christian school leadership team, your pastoral leadership team, your small group, whatever kind of team you lead. Just go to centerforbiblicalunity.com, click on walking in unity and get all the details there. Now, there are giveaways tonight because it is the season finale. We have 3 giveaways. And if you have commented in the comments, then you have already qualified to be in the drawing. So should we do the first one?
Sure.
Oh, just a minute. We got to do it. We're just kind of springing it on Bob. All right.
Well, then let's go to another question while he gets that queued up.
Oh, he's ready. All right. We're going to spin the wheel.
I feel like he just, wow.
We're just freewheeling tonight. This is all. Okay. So the prize is an autographed copy of Walking in Unity. This is the first prize. We have 3 prizes tonight. Okay, so Bob's gonna click that little spinny thing. Yeah, let's do it.
Anytime. Yay. We will make sure to get your copy of Walking in Unity.
So what you have to do is write to info@centerforbiblicalunity.com. Tell them that you won, and then that will alert the little elves to get the autograph around for you and get the book mailed out.
Hi, I'm the little elf. Just in case anyone's wondering. Hi, that would be me.
Okay, so here's a great question. Kirsty, not Christy, asks, is there anything that's happened since you finished writing the book that you wish you could have addressed in the book? I have one thing while you're thinking.
What?
I wish that in the chapter where I was defining the biblical definition of racism, that I had included ethnic idolatry. I did not include that, and I didn't think about it until later as a component of the definition. And I wish I had written a little bit more about how not all ethnic partiality or preference is a sin, and what it looks like when it becomes a sin. I think that's become more of a bigger conversation since we finished writing the book a year ago. And I wish I had done a little bit more to make that clear. But yeah, and if I had had more words in the reparations chapter, there were other things I wanted to say, but we were trying to keep all the chapters to 5,000 words. So that's it for me.
I don't think there's anything.
Nothing?
No, I said what I said. I don't think that there's anything that's happened in culture that I would want to necessarily address. I do wish I could have put more history inside.
For space constraints.
And I do wish that, yes, I know the book is geared at our black-white relationship, but I do wonder, would it have worked, or could it have worked to include other history in the book as well? Because, I think there's a lot of race history in America that gets overshadowed because we're always so focused on black-white issues.
Yeah. I wish we had done a little bit more to make some of our examples a little bit more global and not just American based. But
yeah,
we'll learn. It was our first time. Mm-hmm. So
here is one. What's your favorite movie of 2024 so far?
Oh gosh. I haven't gone to the movies in so long. I used to write for a movie review magazine. I used to go to all the movies all the time before I had kids. Even like the little art house movies, and I always knew what was playing and what was happening. Oh yeah. And like I just don't know anything that's happening anymore.
Oh.
That was like the early to mid 90s. Bob and I used to go all the time, and he would go with me to these horrible foreign films and art house films that I would have to write reviews for.
Oh, but, that's funny.
I do enjoy a good movie. I enjoy talking to Bob about a good movie. Probably the last movie I saw in the theaters
was Am I Racist?
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't really a movie. It was kind of,
I wouldn't say that that's like the best thing I've ever watched.
I'm just saying what the last thing you saw was.
Yeah, probably was.
No, I know for sure it was. I was there.
Bob and I went to see Sound of Freedom. I got all kind of...
Oh, yeah, that was early.
That was a year and a half ago now, almost. Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing? Mm-mm. I'm not a movie watcher. I mean, I'll go, but I generally fall asleep at some point, and then I'm asleep for the rest of it, and then I wake up the last 20 minutes, and I'm so confused. And so I generally just don't go to movies. And at home, I don't watch a ton of TV at home. Yeah, I don't really watch TV. So
yeah. I watch TV. I watch like old shows from the 80s and 90s.
Okay, so I have a confession.
I got you watching Chips now?
No.
Oh.
Chips was my brother's show, and we would always have to, like,
when I'm over your house, I always got Chips on, so I know it's in the selection of. Don't you want to continue watching?
I don't know. But I do have a guilty pleasure, and it's so random.
Okay.
I have started watching The People's Court.
Such a dork.
It's no longer on the air. I never watched it when it was live. But Judge Marilyn Milian.
You like her?
If I could meet her, like I don't get starstruck, but I would love to have quite a few conversations with her on justice. I was just like, I don't know what it is about this show, but I will binge watch The People's Court from like 2012, 2013.
It's just a bunch of people. They can't solve their problems, so they need somebody
it's a lot of mess. It
arbitrate
is a mess.
their problems.
But them. It's a mess. But it is so interesting.
It makes me so like tense and uncomfortable to watch that stuff because they just can't resolve their stuff.
But some things are like legit, and I'm like, how would I? But I've learned a lot too. Like, if you think that like you have a issue with somebody, everything always needs to be in writing, which I would do anyway. But then there are certain key words, and I was like, oh yes, I don't know, I enjoy it. It's my guilty pleasure, and now the whole world knows.
Okay, Jessica's asking, what do you mean by ethnic idolatry? I guess what I'm trying to explore, and I haven't done a ton of writing on it, so it's kind of a newer thought to me, but the idea of putting your ethnic identity at such a high position
Ooh, sorry.
in your hierarchy of identities that it causes you to see that as like the most important thing about yourself, to the point of devaluing other people who are not that identity or not that ethnicity. So it's just kind of still an idea that I'm trying on, but I wish I had developed it more for the book. Dreama says, I'm a widowed single mom to a 12-year-old boy. I'm finding it extremely difficult to guide him into biblical manhood as I'm not a man. What actions do you suggest? Already looked at a church? Yeah, I would say keep looking for a church and ask the Lord to, help send a provision for you, because that is a very real challenge. He's a vulnerable age, and a boy needs a man. He needs a dad or an uncle or somebody, a grandfather in his life. I don't know if moving closer to family is an option, where if he has strong uncles that would be willing to be involved. Ask the Lord for a provision or an idea in a local church situation. But yeah, it's a very real issue.
I wish more churches had I don't want to say programs, but like just had that kind of on the forefront of their minds, where men stepped in, like if there's a single mom or
that would have been so helpful
something.
to me
Yeah.
when I was a kid. Oh my gosh, I've thought about that so much over the years, of how I wonder how much of my personal brokenness that I went through as a young person and teenager could have been repaired before it got so bad. If there had just been someone in our church that had kind of stepped up and just paid a little attention to me, and I don't know, taught me how to golf or something, taking me out to play tennis, or taking me to trade some baseball cards, like do something with me, it would have probably changed the trajectory of so many problems that I experienced as a young person.
I think part of it is that, and I don't want to sound like I'm just downing the church, but I don't necessarily think that we really take the idea of family very seriously. I don't think that was like, before I started moving away from CRT and really looking at what the Bible said about family and the familial language that's there, like it's really something that we should take seriously, like very, very seriously. And I think if there were more thought and conversation about that, we would probably more organically step into situations.
Okay, Kim is asking a question. I have to address it. What are your thoughts on the Sound of Freedom? Okay, so last July, I made a post that I was not getting on the Sound of Freedom bandwagon. I got more pushback on that post than anything I have ever posted in 15 years of having a social media account. Hundreds of you came after me for not wanting to be on the Sound of Freedom bandwagon. I just said at the time, there's something off about Tim Ballard. I don't trust him. There's enough shady stories out there about him. I don't trust him. So I've been wanting to do an update show, because I did a podcast about it last August, and I have been vindicated. This guy has like 7 or 9 lawsuits against him, some in federal court, some in Utah state court. But I am wondering if criminal charges are coming against him, because he was very close with the attorney general, and I think that of Utah. And I think that that was shielding him from some criminal prosecution. It would not surprise me at all after the election if he starts to get criminally prosecuted. And I knew it. I knew there was something off about him. And now he's up on prostitution charges, rape charges, the very things that he was claiming he was saving kids from, he himself was participating in. He's a mess. And so I feel so vindicated.
Well, there's that. Here's a question from Amy on
Okay.
Facebook. What denominations do you align with or attend? Would you describe your theological beliefs?
So I have a post about this on my website, about my personal denominational journey. If you want to know more about that, you can go to theologymom.com. For me personally, we really try to take an approach at the Center for Biblical Unity that is fairly, I want to say, mostly Protestant, but friendly toward thoughtful Catholics and Orthodox thinkers. And we really try to focus on the Nicene Creed. And we also take a stand on using the Nashville Statement on gender and sexuality. We subscribe to the Chicago Statement on biblical inerrancy and hermeneutics. So we really try to identify the main things and keep the main things the main things.
Yep.
And we try to have lots and lots of clarity about that. For me personally, I am some weird eclectic mix of, there's aspects of high liturgical Anglicanism that I really appreciate. I am not a cessationist. So I don't know if that makes me technically a charismatic or what that makes me, but I am not a cessationist. Personally, I'm an older creationist. It's not really a denominational thing. It's kind of a secondary issue. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. What do you want to say? You grew up as a charismatic.
I did. I grew up, well, when I truly started to, think about Christianity, for myself at 15 and a half, 16, it was in the Assemblies of God church, and definitely charismatic, and all the way up until, I didn't question it, really until I moved back from South Africa, and then really started to wonder, what does the Bible say, and what is my faith. And so now I would say I'm a cautious charismatic, because of I can't be a cessationist, I would say, because of the miracles that I've seen in Africa.
Yeah, same for me. Not in Africa, but just in people that I know.
So when I lived in Africa, there were just things that I definitely, I'm like, only God could do this. And so I won't definitely go into cessationism, but I would definitely be very, very careful in charismaticism, I guess. And I would say everything else, the things that Krista said. So, the Nicene Creed, the Chicago Statement, the Nashville Statement. I definitely am not someone who, not that I don't appreciate high church or an Anglican service or things like that. I just really like just good clapping, and so some of the Black Baptist is still there, and it's definitely still there. And I think I like a Black Baptist church with solid theological teaching, some of that Reformed kind of type thing, biblical teaching. I really appreciate the Reformed tradition because of their deep love for Scripture.
Yeah. And
that is something I didn't even know the Reformed tradition was a thing until I moved back to the States. And I absolutely love the way many Reformed churches are just so deep into expositional teaching.
Yeah, we were Reformed. My husband and I were Reformed for about, 12 years or so. I'm no longer Reformed. You can go on my channel and find that little discussion. But I still have deep appreciation and friendship and camaraderie with Reformed people. Now, some of them may not feel the same about me, but but Kevin's out here in the
Kevin
streets.
said you are apostolic Pentecostal non-denominational Baptist.
That's pretty close.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny.
My great-grandfather was a minister in the Dutch Reformed Church. My grandfather was a Baptist minister and church planter. And my uncle was ordained in the Presbyterian denomination. So we're all over the place. Yeah. Let's see.
There was another question. I think.
Someone was asking about commentaries. What's my favorite commentary?
Oh, was that
I don't know who that was.
Andy?
But commentaries, yes, I'm not a huge fan of commentaries because I think that people use them in the wrong way and they use them as way too soon in their interpretive process. So I'm not a big fan of commentaries or recommending them. But probably the one that I recommend, to me, the best thing to do is invest in a good study Bible. So like the ESV or the NIV study Bible is a really solid way to go because that's just a commentary that's handy. It's because it's built into the Bible. And so to me, that should be the first commentary that you use if you want to get a like a set or a outside one. I mean, the NIV application commentary series is pretty good. If you get the older ones, I don't know how the newer volumes are, but I have several of those and I find them to be pretty faithful and helpful and lay accessible, having enough depth to them that there's something meaty there, but not so much depth that you're just lost in the details. So that's my 2 cents about commentaries. If you take my class on how to study the Bible, I have a whole lecture about commentaries and how to use them properly.
I was going to say the NIV application commentary as well. I am
the application.
The NIV.
The application.
This
Okay.
one. This is the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has the big 2-inch lettering on the cover. Yeah.
That's the one I really like. And then oh my gosh, I was sent a really good commentary. I want to say it's a commentary on the book of Jeremiah. This book is phenomenal. It was sent to me by Jeff and Linda Davis, but I'm not remembering the name of it. But if I could find just more books like that, I think that would be awesome. With study Bibles, here's my issue with study Bibles. Study Bibles, and I would love to know your thoughts on this because I didn't take the class. Study Bibles don't answer the questions that I'm asking.
Yeah, that happens.
Study Bibles, I'm like, they always address the things that are well, I know that. Why are you writing that here? Why aren't you looking at the thing that nobody is talking about this? So why aren't you talking about that? That's harder.
You do tend to ask questions that other people aren't asking, though. You ask, I've known this is one of the very first things I noticed about you when we first met, is that you ask questions that most people don't ask.
I have 2 giant study Bibles. They're like coffee table at your grandma's house kind of Bibles. And they have all this information. And I'm like, this is obvious. You took what was obvious. But the question that's really important, I think is because maybe you don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
All right, we're going to take our second break and then we're going to come back and do another giveaway. And then, we're going to answer more questions. And somebody's asking, if I already posted a question, should I post it again or do you skip some on purpose?
No, we didn't skip any on purpose.
We might not have seen it. There's a lot of things happening.
Should post it again. Who said that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, no, who said that?
Rebukey.
Rebuke? Sometimes you got to rebuke. No, but yeah, please post it again. Right. We didn't mean to skip it.
All right. We'll be right back after we hear from our friends at Impact 360.
Change isn't going to come just because you want it to. Change comes because you are intentionally taking steps to making that change.
I aspire to be someone who continues to build bridges with other cultures and who cultivates a community that's healthy and honoring to the Lord and life-giving.
Now, after the program, I feel like I know what my purpose is and I know what I want to do going out into the world. And how to not have this time to step back and just kind of be patient and be still and just listen, I don't think I would have had that same clarity.
In this world, it's kind of like in a scream contest. Who can scream the loudest? And who's going to listen to that person yelling the loudest? And that person should be God. But he's not yelling, he's calling us. My hope going forward to interact with culture is to tell people like, hey, like, be still, listen to this guy is calling you. He's calling you home.
And once again, I want to encourage you to go check out our friends at Impact 360. In fact, Monique and I were just on the Impact 360 podcast yesterday. We recorded it. Hopefully it'll be out soon. Boy, it was a really good interview. Jonathan Morrow, the director, one of the directors there, just did a fantastic job of asking us different kind of questions, and just a really, really quality interview. So be watching for that. But Impact 360 is a wonderful place, and maybe it might be a good fit to help you in your discipleship efforts with your kids. Go check them out at Impact 360. Okay, let's do our next giveaway. Our second giveaway is a free CFBU shirt. So if you have commented, you have entered into the contest. And I don't know what she's doing, but walking behind me. All right, so here we go. We're going to spin the wheel and see who is going to win some free CFBU merch. There she is, magically.
All right. Whew.
You're such a mess. Right? Yeah, it is the shirt. It is the shirt. Here we go. We're spinning. All right, Jenny Klatt. You have won a free CFBU shirt. So to claim your prize, what you need to do is email us at info@centerforbiblicalunity.com. Tell us you're a winner, and then the little elves will get the shirt around and send it out to you.
Chief elf in charge. That would be me. I am the head elf in charge.
Okay, so Gillian is asking about favorite translation, and then Michelle's asking about our thoughts about the New Living Translation. I just want to let you know I have a new teaching coming out on Monday about Bible translations. So you can check all of that out. Short answer is I like the NLT, the New Living Translation. It's really great, especially if you're a new Christian. It kind of breaks the English language down into how people talk today. And it's very nice and smooth. And so that's a good one for new Christians or maybe teenagers. I don't recommend having your kids memorize out of the New Living Translation. Have them use the ESV or NIV.
I love ESV. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Favorite translation, yours is NIV or
no,
ESV?
My favorite is ESV.
My favorite is NIV. I like the NIV. Okay. What do you think about the Bible recap? I don't really actually know
Tarly Cobble.
I don't really know that much about it.
Neither do I.
A lot of people love it and recommend it. Our friend Elisa Childers loves it, so we'll just leave it there. All right.
Let me see what other questions we have.
Yesenia wants to know, what are you guys looking forward to most in 2025?
Honey, it's right here. Being unburdened, baby.
No, the thing I'm looking most forward to is having Yesenia come back as a volunteer.
Such a petty moment. Sorry.
No, I think there's somebody along these lines. Somebody's asking about any news on the CFBU conference, the family reunion for 2025. No, we can't find a church. We're still looking. So if you are a pastor and you have a vision for a national conference and your place can hold 450 or so people, and you can have spaces for breakout rooms and a place for us to eat, and yet you live kind of near the church is kind of near an airport, and you can marshal a team of volunteers, and you really want to be an authentic partner with us, and you're not afraid to have a conversation about race and ethnicity from a biblical perspective, and you're not afraid to talk about it, and you're not afraid of cultural issues, please call us. Please write to us. Please send us smoke signals. Please send us a telegram, because we would really love to have a national conference next fall, but we need a courageous pastor with a vision.
Yeah. Someone asked, what are your favorite podcasts?
Ooh.
That you would like, what are the podcasts that you listen to, not the ones
Am I
that
allowed
you're...
to say if they're secular?
What do it matter? I'm being unburdened. You can be saying, you know.
Well, it's kind of risky. Like, people are so judgy.
What you listening to now? I got questions.
Well, I listen to the Megyn Kelly show a lot. She's sort of center right. And even though she's a Catholic, she's not like super sort of a traditional Catholic, but religion doesn't play a big part in her commentary. But I find that her news is fairly accurate, but she does swear a lot. So this isn't an endorsement of that. But I do appreciate her commentary on news. I do watch her podcast. I sometimes pop in and out on Allie Beth's podcast if she's covering something new that I haven't watched other places. I listen to kind of obscure stuff, you guys. Like, there's this channel, there's this guy that I rewatch his videos every so often, where the whole channel is what did early Christians believe about different doctrines of the Bible, that I find really interesting. He's just like a smaller channel, but I really appreciate his teachings. I listen to lately I've been listening to a guy kind of heterodox of his channel is very challenging for me, about he's challenging a lot of ideas related to Augustine's anthropology. And so I've been watching a lot of his content, just asking different kinds of questions. So I don't know. It's I don't necessarily recommend any of those. I have a very eclectic kind of taste for things.
I don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah, that's an easy one for her.
I don't.
She listens to books.
That's I know people might be surprising. I don't listen to our podcast. No podcast, no interview that I do have I ever gone back to listen to see if I liked it. Krista, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. She will go back and listen to this. And she'll go back and listen to every podcast we have ever done.
I do watch all my own podcasts, and I criticize myself of how I could have done better,
life's too short,
how I can improve. I'm always studying myself.
Now, if somebody comes on and says, we disagree with you on this, you said this, and I read it, and I'm like, oh, you know what, maybe that's a fair comment. I can go back and listen, and then, you know, either say, hey, I didn't mean that, you're right, or no, I actually said what I said. But other than that, I don't listen to podcasts. I listen to a lot of books. I listen to a lot of music. If 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be listening to either a book or music, and I would prefer music over a book.
Okay, somebody's asking, I'm new, who is Petty Mo?
Oh, she is just the best person alive. Yes, she is. Petty Mo is the piece of me that I just can't really say publicly. I tend to lean more petty. And like a smart aleck. And so Petty Mo generally says the things that, you know, I could get in trouble for. She's a little puppet that we actually have in our office. And sometimes she makes an appearance on the family meeting or in a Giving Tuesday video or things like that. She's just a character that came about because I would say things that probably just shouldn't be said. And so it's kind of the petty part of me. But this is her, and she's wonderful. She's actually going to be in Austin with us at the Austin Unshaken.
We're not taking that puppet all the way to Austin, Texas.
The heck we aren't. Petty Mo will be with us.
We're not doing that. Don't come to the table looking for that silly puppet.
You can come all you want. Petty Mo will be with us in Austin. Yes. She will be at the table. She will take pictures.
I have to look at this thing every day at the office. It's right in my line of sight.
There you go. And so, yes, we took her to the
It's creepy.
SES conference last year, and she took pictures with people. Petty Mo has flown on the airplane with me and actually took pictures with the flight attendants.
I know.
Petty Mo she's her own vibe. Next question. I'm going to pull one from Facebook.
Okay.
It says, let's see here. Monique, would you consider writing your own Bible commentary? I would 100% pre-order it. Nobody needs a petty commentary. Nobody need a petty commentary. No. Someone else asked, do you prefer Five Guys, McDonald's, or In-N-Out?
Ooh. Five Guys has gotten so expensive. It's really expensive. So I would probably pick In-N-Out. I think I like their fries a little better. But yeah, if we're like, if I had to choose, actually my favorite burgers are Muya. I like to get the kids meal at Muya.
She does enjoy a Muya burger.
And get the kids burger add cheese and barbecue sauce and the tiny fries and the tiny drink, and I am good to go.
I don't prefer any of those.
I know.
Not any of them. I haven't had McDonald's in so many years. I think
I would die.
Probably since before I moved to Africa in 2014. In-N-Out, I can eat their animal fries once in a while. I don't like Five Guys.
Okay, so we will be in Austin, Texas next weekend. It's the last Unshaken conference on the tour for the year. And we will be on the Maven tour next year, not just as sponsors, but as speakers. So make a plan, get a bus ticket, figure out how to walk there, come see us on the Maven tour. And we will be speaking. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be with our friends, the Kunkles from Maven, and all of that. So you won't want to miss it.
Another question from, I want to say it was Yesenia. What are you looking forward to in...
We already did that one.
In 2025?
Yeah, we already did that one before the break. Where were you?
Did we? Did I answer it?
Yeah.
What did I say I was looking forward to in 2025?
I don't know.
We did not answer that question.
Yes, I did. I said I was looking forward to Yesenia coming back as a volunteer. And then I talked about the conference.
I don't remember what I said.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Maybe I didn't answer it. In 2025, I am looking forward to... I have to think about it.
Someone's asking, are you a dancer?
Which one?
You, Monique. Me. I heard you're a dancer. More about that, please.
I love dance. I absolutely, if I could still find like adult classes, I would take adult classes.
When she first came back from South Africa and we were trying to kind of help her with recovery,
I danced a lot. I took a couple of dance classes at the community college by me. And so, yeah, I danced up until just a couple of years ago. But I didn't start out dancing. Like my dance gene didn't kick in until I was like, I didn't have rhythm. My rhythm gene didn't really come in until I was like 10, 11.
Mine still hasn't arrived.
But when it kicked in, boy, you could not stop me from dancing. It all just clicked together. And so, yeah, I danced in high school. I danced in junior college. I danced at university. I actually started on a tour with a gospel duo, dancing for them. That would take me to different places in America. I didn't end up like dancing for them the whole time. I ended up transitioning over to being a nanny after they adopted twins. But yeah, I absolutely love dance. I love ballet is so hard, but you need ballet for everything. It's like the foundation of everything. But lyrical, my favorite is hip hop, jazz. Yeah.
Okay, this is a very interesting question. Do you have concerns about some pastors, commentators, and influencers who seem to go to a lot of conferences? In other words, I think they're on the speaking tour. They're always traveling and speaking as opposed to showing up in church.
Yep.
What thoughts do you have about that?
My thoughts are that that is dangerous because the people that you're going to speak to are not your accountability. They're not the people who see you day in and day out. And so my first question would be, who are the people who speak into your life, who you sit under, who you are also accountable to? I also think that it's not good not to have rest. And so if you're never in church on a Sunday, like, when are you resting?
Are you known by your elders?
Yeah, yes, and that's what I mean, like, for the accountability. Are you known by your elders? Are there people who actually know you? In 23, I was gone almost, I think it was 3 Sundays out of every month in 23. And I said I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that this year because we have YouTube, and if you can't find it on YouTube or a podcast, I just can't come because I have to have some type of community and some type of rest. And I also need to hear the word of God. I need to be, reading the word of God in church on Sunday and worshiping with other people. It's very important. This life of speaking and traveling is not easy. And so with it not being easy, you have to make sure that you guard yourself and that you're doing what you also need to do for you, because at the end of the day, it's your relationship with God. There's so much at stake. And so I just personally, I have questions for them.
When we meet people when we're out on the road, and you do get to know people kind of as you run into them on the speaking circuit, and people are traveling, most of the year or gone most of the time. And you can tell, you start figuring out, like, I wonder if they're really involved in a church or what's happening. And I have concerns for those people. And you kind of know who they are. The public doesn't really know who they are. But trust me, if you're on the speaking circuit, you kind of start figuring out who some of these people are. And it's not healthy. It's kind of scary. Because maybe you can go along like that for a while, but I think the Steve Lawson situation most recently is a great example of this. I mean, now it's coming out that not only was he not an elder at that church in Dallas, he wasn't even a pastor, he wasn't even a member, but yet they were saying they were removing him from ministry. Well, what was he? He was just a guy who's popular, and they put him in the pulpit week after week, giving kind of the appearance that he was on staff or a member, but he really wasn't. And yet he was platformed at all of these really big entities at Master's Seminary. He was heading up their Doctor of Ministry program, and he was at G3 and Ligonier and big on the speaking tour and just speaking all the time. And yet kind of shady that he was going to this church in Dallas. Everyone thought he was on staff or an elder, and now come to find out he was none of those, not even a member. They just put him up there as a speaking pastor, frequent pulpit fill. That's not healthy.
No, and I can't emphasize it enough. There has to be accountability. There has to be some type of people who you are accountable to, who know you, not just know your face or know your name, or people who will recognize you when you're at a play, those kind of things. You actually have to have real people in your life, and you have to be real. And I wonder about that, about some people. Like, there are some people who I know who speak all the time, but I'm in relationship with those people. And so, we can do that for one another. But y'all be in the chat and be like, oh, you wrong for that, Mo.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes my correction comes through a chat. It is what it is.
All right.
Not above it.
Let's do the final drawing, and then I want to answer this question about Hugh Ross.
There's another. I text you a question too.
Oh, okay.
So I text you this question.
Okay.
But yeah, I think there's a couple more questions.
All right, let's do another giveaway, our final giveaway of the night. Prize this time is free copy of our Walking in Unity discussion videos. So this is the last one. Oh, Briggins is on there? I don't know. He's a board member.
Yeah, Briggins can't win nothing.
Yeah, you can't win nothing. All right.
Just go
All
ahead.
right, here we go. almost Jeff Davis, but it is Ron
Uncle
Dawson.
Jeff.
And to claim your prize, please email us at info@centerforbiblicalunity.com. Okay, somebody's asking me, what was it like to work with Hugh Ross? I worked with Hugh Ross for 22 and a half years. His office was adjacent to mine toward the end, and we worked closely together on many projects. I was the radio host for his radio show for several years and produced a lot of their content and worked on resource production, and toward the end ran all of the scholar programs and scholar development things there. And I can tell you that Hugh Ross is without question the most gifted evangelist I have ever known. Maybe him and my grandfather would be neck and neck, but I'll give the win to Hugh simply because he wrote so many books. Hugh Ross is not a scientist first. He is a scientist. He has a PhD from University of Toronto, and did postdoc work at Caltech. But he is through and through an evangelist first. That guy can share the Lord with anyone at any time. In the line at the bank, with the bank teller, the nurse taking his blood pressure, the dog catcher, I don't care who he's talking to. He can somehow, part of his supernatural gifting from the Holy Spirit is he can turn any conversation into a conversation about the gospel. I cannot figure out how he does it, but it is part of his supernatural DNA. I learned so much from him about how to be a better Christian, how to be a better evangelist, how to have the heart of an evangelist. Even though evangelism is not my number one spiritual gift, he definitely strengthened me in that area. He is a humble man. He is a very thrifty man. I'll never forget going to his house on one holiday. It was like Thanksgiving or something, and Bob and I had to run something over to his house. I don't even remember what it was. And he was changing his own oil in his car on Thanksgiving, and all I could think of is, Hugh, you're the president of a ministry. There's people that can do that for you. But he is a humble man. He's a thrifty man. He is a gifted evangelist. And my life is definitely better for knowing Hugh Ross. I know that he is maligned, and there's a lot of people that don't like him. But I can tell you, as somebody who's worked with him, he is exactly who he appears to be. He is just, I've seen him in all kinds of situations, and been consistently impressed with his character. It's not saying he's a perfect person, but definitely I have learned a lot from his mentorship, and I would not be able to help Monique run the Center for Biblical Unity if it were not for the wisdom of Hugh Ross that I learned over 2 decades. Him and Ken Samples probably be two of the most influential men in my life spiritually since my father was not in my life. Those two men have probably done more to shape my spiritual life, them and my husband, obviously, through my husband's discipleship, that have impacted my life the most.
That's awesome.
So,
Mavis Scully says, come to Charlotte. I teach adult ballet and musical theater. Fosse for Christ. Come on over. Bob Fosse was a choreographer. I would say he's probably most known for Chicago.
Oh.
And actually had a lot of not deformities, I don't want to say that, but different ways of doing things. And like his height was different, and so he kind of hunched over, but because of some of these things, he created his own style. He would like wear not fedoras, but he would wear like hats, or he was just different. But he created like a whole style and genre I guess genre would be the best way to describe it. And so when people do certain things, they'll refer to like a Fosse type of style. Yeah. Or at least that's how we do it out here.
Let's Jeff Davis is California turning right. No.
No, I don't know that I agree with that, because there were a lot of California was red.
Yeah, but I think we're very fickle here.
I think we're fickle, but I think that a lot of people in California were done with Biden's administration, and they had to choose something different. Does that mean that they'll be, red forever? Yeah. But I actually think that it's reflective of the country. I think that there are probably more red people than there are blue people. I think media probably just promotes so much blue that we think that everyone is blue.
Okay, another question is, my brother calls himself non-binary. He cut me off after voting for Trump. My siblings blame me. Mm-hmm. I want him saved, but I want them to understand why I voted the way that I did. How can I do both? I guess this is I don't like these questions, because it's like I don't know enough. There's so many variables, and I feel like I'm intruding in people's lives when I give personal advice on like this based on a few sentences. So take everything I say in that context. But I guess my question is why do you want people to understand how you voted? Like, that wouldn't occur to me. If I had family members and I do have family members that vote differently than me, I don't care that they understand why I voted the way that I do. It doesn't matter to me. I have no interest in defending that.
Well, I think
or explaining. Sorry. I would never initiate that conversation. I would never explain it. And even if they asked me about it, I probably still wouldn't explain it.
Would you reveal, though?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's relevant. To me, in that situation, what's more relevant is me preserving the relationship. Now, if they cut me off because of it, I guess my other question is how do they know that you voted for Trump unless you've been posting on social media, which brings me back to the thing I said at the top of the show.
But I don't know that you have to. The future is male and female. People will know that you're voting for Trump.
But I don't wear this kind of stuff when I go to my family things. I'm very careful about what I do. And they don't really, there's a couple family members that watch our content, but most of them don't. Most of them are just in their own world. They don't get on there and watch what I'm wearing or what I'm saying. And I don't wear this kind of stuff when we go home for the holidays.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, I guess
put it up front.
If
I don't wave that flag.
I don't know that you have to wave a flag in order for somebody to know that you lean conservative.
Yeah, but I would never initiate the conversation. I would never.
But that doesn't mean that they can't make a guess based on the fact that you have conservative leanings.
Right, and that's fine. Like I said, if they brought it up and they asked me a direct question, I would probably answer it kind of vaguely, but I would never try to. I don't post about my politics on social media so my family could see it. Most of them do not follow our content, and I would never bring it up. And I would do everything I could not to make it an issue. So I don't know how to address the question because it's hard for me to relate to it.
Yeah, I guess because I just am who I am. Like I said, I said. And so, and I know that we disagree probably on that position. But for me, I think it's it's a conversation of evangelism. Like they'll never understand why you voted the way you did if they have no idea who God is or the truth of scripture or, like how that has an impact on your life. And so, when you say that he considers himself non-binary, he cut me off after voting for Trump. My siblings blame me. Part of my question is I guess maybe he didn't cut off the rest of the family. I want him saved, but I want them to understand why I voted the way I did. I guess
she came back and she says, "Thanks for responding. Your question is valid. He asked me directly and I told him, but I don't know why I felt like I needed to defend my position. I probably don't. I'm grateful for your input." Yeah, I guess, and I'm not saying that there's a right or a wrong. Like this, to me, this isn't a right or wrong conversation. This is just, for me, an evangelism conversation. And when I'm in an evangelism conversation, I don't wave my political flag. I am trying to preserve the relationship. So I don't wear shirts like this around non-Christians. I wear these shirts on the show. But when I go to family functions, I leave these sorts of things at home. I don't, I am careful. I am somewhat intentional because I'm going to see the family. I don't know how many of these people are Christians. And so I'm going to act evangelistically, but that's me. That's how I do it. And
Yeah.
I know for you, most people in your family see things politically somewhat similar that you do.
Some, not like
yeah.
I have people in my family who do not see things the same way that
Yeah.
I see them, and we can have conversation about it.
Yeah.
But I would say some of those people in my family also don't believe the way that I believe, and
Yeah,
so
worldview differences,
yeah, their
yeah.
world, and so we can have the conversation, but and we can talk about evangelism and who is Jesus and all of these things. Why do I believe the way that I do? I am not intentionally trying to turn people off, but I also don't know, and y'all can pray for me on this, that I am the one to tiptoe around you just so that you don't be triggered and all in your emotions.
But see, to me, it's not trigger. It's about what obstacle. It's like an apologetics issue of what obstacle am I unnecessarily putting up front. And it's not about tiptoeing. It's I'm putting myself aside for the sake of that other person in order to keep the relationship and the conversation going.
I get that, but I think, and yes, I can see that for people that I am in relationship with. Like if I knew I was going to a family function and there was going to be like 3 people there who were going to be like automatically offended if I wore an unburdened shirt, sure, I don't necessarily need to be that person.
Yeah.
However, my shirt that says God created XX and XY, if I'm going to the mall or if I'm going out to eat, I'm going to wear the shirt that I put on that morning.
To me, that I'm not talking about that.
But
That's
you,
different.
you mentioned that you wouldn't wear that around unbelievers.
No, in my family, where I'm trying to
Okay.
have a relationship.
Okay.
If I'm just out in the marketplace.
Because I'm like, I'm going to wear, you wear what you want to wear.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about within the context of relationships with people that I'm trying to engage in evangelism discussions.
Yeah, I mean,
must I be
my family
must
is,
I be intentionally provoking? I wrestle with that.
my family, I guess we just a little different because my family will come in with a shirt on, that says I can't breathe.
But that's different. That's them.
I get it. I
And-
get what you're saying. I'm just saying around my family, we will allow things, oh, look what you got on. You got that shirt on, da, 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 and we'll have,
And in your family
we'll have
culture,
those conversations.
in your family culture, that's allowed. But a lot of people do not have a family culture that allows for those differences.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. I get maybe it's a area for me to ponder on, but yeah, I'm just.
Okay, one last question, and then we're gonna sign off. Somebody was asking, and I can't get it back, but they were asking, who's the most influential theologian on your life besides me?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Probably Uncle JP Moreland.
Well, he's a philosopher. He's not a theologian, but
Well, there's
yeah.
that. But I feel like he's very, theological.
Okay.
Um,
You like Glenn Sunshine or Carl Truman?
Glenn Sunshine and Carl Truman also are not theologians.
Okay.
Carl Truman's a historian, and Glenn Sunshine, I want to say, is a philosopher.
I think he might be more of a theologian, but okay.
I do like Uncle Carl Truman. I think it's not necessarily because of all their volumes of writing, but just the relationship and the way that they speak to me and just their very clear and direct communication. Yeah, probably JP Moreland. Carl Truman has just been really clear. The way that they push back on things or ask me, have you thought about it this way? I'm trying to think of who else. I think when I was first coming out of CRT, I found Vodi Bakum to be very interesting. I thought the way he thought was just very
different.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different. So I was grateful for that. But yeah, those would be a few.
All right, friends, that is a wrap on season 6 of All the Things. Thanks for showing up. It's been fun. We always enjoy these kind of freestyle, ask us anything conversations. A lot. But everything from Chips to Carl Truman and everything in between. All right, we will see you next season, probably sometime in January. And come check us out in Austin, Texas. Next weekend we will be there. Or if you're going to be at the meetings for the Evangelical Theological Society in San Diego, we will be there too. Come find us in our shenanigans. We want to thank you, those of you who have donated to the ministry this year. Thank you for your support. And we want to encourage you to watch for our Giving Tuesday and end of year campaigns. We have some very specific needs coming up that we are asking for your support. And to be very honest, giving has been challenging this year. The economy's been challenging for all of us. But at the Center for Biblical Unity, we are in a bit of a deficit, and we are wanting to not go into 2025 with that deficit, even though we have done everything in our ability to be frugal and careful and all of that. We are in a bit of a tough situation, and so please watch for our Giving Tuesday campaign. And this is really about being family and showing up for each other. And so we would love for your prayerful support going into the new year, that you would remember us. We know that there's a lot of ministries that are competing for your charity dollars, and we would ask just so you would prayerfully consider your support for us going into the new year. We're particularly looking for new monthly partners. We would really love to have some new monthly partners. If this ministry has blessed you and helped you grow in your faith, we would ask that you would prayerfully consider partnering with us on a monthly basis. This helps to provide us with stable income so that we can really make good plans going into 2025, knowing our numbers and being able to stay within our spending limits. Thank you so much.
Make sure to catch our family meetings. We will still be doing the family meetings on Wednesdays. It changed from Thursdays. On Wednesdays at 4. So that will be another way to connect with us. Future, I saw you on there telling everybody you were keeping the back pew warm with the hymnals and the shawls. But yes, we will be out on Thursdays. We should be in town aside from this coming Thursday. And we'll be doing family meetings even during our hiatus here.
All right, friends. Take care and God bless.
Bye.
There's nothing